Been asking me, human beings have been like, Zeos, when are you going to review that $2,200 65-inch Sony Bravia XR A80J OLED television you bought? And I'm like, oh, now. I'm sitting in front of it. I'm hoping the camera is capturing it. Let me actually. Yeah, okay. You see how it's gray? I should actually probably take it out of this and put it into linear. Give me a sec. Okay, now it's linear, so now it looks like a square instead of a stupid bubble. Anyway, do you see how that is gray? That is supposed to be black. And I'm glad I decided to do the review today because this happens once a month. If I wake up the screen, we could see Belfast and Unicorn and anything I open up, any windows I open up. You could even see it just around this. You see how it's like doing that? That is the TV being fucking weird. And the only way to fix that is to completely unplug the TV and have it reload. And it's happened once a month, and this is the only real problem I have with this television. Because I fucking love this television. But let's give it the hard boot. If you turn it off and turn it back on, it does not fix it. We'll wait a second. We're waiting a second. We're waiting a second. Wanted to see if there was an echo. Put it back on. I got this at, same thing. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn it off. I'm going to give it the old reach around. Unplug. Replug. And it'll reload the engine. And now there's, I got to talk about, because you're probably watching this review, if you've come here specifically looking for a TV review and you've never been to the Z Reviews channel before, I'm not normal. And everything is from a headcam perspective. And I say dirty words like fuck, shit, bitch, cunt, cocksucker, feed a fed horse. What? I'll use it in context later. And I don't really do TVs. I did a couple BenQs that were sent to me back in the day. There might have been an LG. I forget who sent me that one. But I bought this one myself because it was time. I own that 65-inch Sony that I have set to a vertical display, and I put it on a rolling cart and I roll it around. If you want to watch that TV's video, that's the mono solution. Clock in the corner. Real quick, completely out of context. You see how it pops the time up because I just turned the screen on? I have it set in the settings. It's one of the most amazing things I've ever done, and it's the worst thing I've ever done. Every hour, so 10 a.m., 11 a.m., midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., it'll just pop up and tell you the time. Every hour. And I can't tell you how many times I've been sitting here watching TV, and it's like, boop, midnight. Okay, cool. 1 a.m., 2 a.m., fuck, and then you go to sleep. So it's really nice if you want to just be like, slapped in the face, get the fuck up, get out of. It's a life hack. Have your TV, if you have one of these Sonys, because my other Sony doesn't do that. So I bought that Sony for $720 for a 65-inch non-OLED. And it looked fucking amazing. And when it came time to replace my little 43-inch television I had in here that I just took from my old apartment, it was like, how big do I want to go? And do I want to spend more than 3 times the amount I did on that other TV on this TV to get the OLED experience? One of my friends has OLED. He's very proud of it. It's a 70-inch OLED. I have a 150-inch projector in the basement, or I have a 150-inch screen, and then the projector shines onto it in the basement. See, blacks are working perfectly fine now. Just needs a reset every like month and a half. It might even not be a month, but it happens, and it's annoying that it even happens. And we'll get to why I'm using a computer as the input, et cetera, and why this screensaver comes on that fast. But it came to the point where I was like, all right, am I going to spend the money on the OLED? Is it worth it? Zeos, timestamps, because YouTube. Is it worth getting an OLED over a regular old television? If you can afford it, do it. Do it. That's it. It's with 3 times as much money for the same resolution, so the same refresh rate, as 120 hertz refresh rate. And I mean, I don't care about how thin a TV is, because, and this is hyper thin, and we're going to get to how that annoys me, because I feel like I can't touch it. But the picture quality and the viewing angle and the richness of it, like I've got, actually it's on right now. The only other Sony display. Please say not safe for work. Please say not safe for work. Please say not safe for work. Here is my Silicon Graphics branded GDM FW900, which will get its own review. I'm saying that now because I have 2 others that I'm going to sell in the yard sale. And this is the fucking benchmark, which it probably looks like shit on the camera. Let me look. Not bad. You're seeing a couple lines run up and down, but that's just because the camera can't handle this. Like you don't grasp how good video can look until you've looked at it on the greatest CRT ever made. And it got to the point where I own 3 of these. This was the last one I bought. And when these were new, these were $2,500 for a 24-inch 16:10 CRT. So Sony has always had its way in my heart. I have a Samsung 40-inch for my regular computer. I bought that 65 over there, and I'm like, all right, that's good enough. Picked a 65 for this room because this is the room I spend most of my time in. Like, I'm done. I've done reviews. I've made dinner. I wake up. I got to check my fucking shit. I just sit down here and I veg out in front of my goddamn computer or my monitor or my setup with the Klipsch Fortes. So I may as well spend some money on it. And when I unboxed this and hooked it up, something unprecedented happened. And if you know me, if I've been in your home, you know that this is a very, very important statement I'm about to make. I turned it on and I didn't touch the adjustments on the menu for 5 hours. Anybody? Anybody grasp the fucking significance of that? Zeos comes in, gets a TV out of a box, and inside that TV, it's set up, and he doesn't touch the settings, the brightness, the contrast, the color saturation, to touch nothing, to get it and just touch fucking nothing? How? Because it's the best looking TV I've ever fucking seen. It's just, and we could, these are all the wallpapers that are upcoming at some point in the reviews. And the first thing you notice is that the colors are rich. Everything about them is just like, it was perfect. I actually did eventually get in there and tweak some stuff very mildly. Just like so mild, like taking like a salt grinder going like, okay, it's enough, done. You look at the TV, and if you glanced at it from like a passing perspective, you maybe wouldn't notice it's an OLED versus a regular LCD. But if you actually looked at it and then you started moving, just like a CRT, where a CRT, if you don't know how it works, I really can't explain it, but it throws electrons at the coating on the back of the glass, and that actually glows. That's what OLED does. OLED doesn't have a backlight. There are no liquid crystal, there's no liquid crystal display, which then has, you know, lights shining from the back or edge lit on the side. That, her eyeball is glowing. Every pixel is its own light source, which means as I walk off center, whereas a normal TV would turn like sort of like dull and gray, and this is perfect at every angle to the 180 degrees you can physically walk around the pixel. Because it's generating its own light. So that means if you're not sitting on center, it looks perfect. If you're sitting in the center, it looks perfect. It doesn't get brighter, dimmer, darker. There are issues, however, with this technology. Anyone who's got a phone that's more than a few years old, or that's at least a year old, you probably have an OLED display in your phone. My Moto Z2 Force is an OLED display, or was an OLED display. I moved on to the new Sony phone. Again, not that I'm just a Sony fanboy, but Sony OLED displays are fucking amazing. And this is, by the way, a 4K 120 hertz screen, and that's a 4K 120 hertz screen. And anyone who's got a phone for more than a year knows burn-in is a thing. If you use the same app over and over again, I use Telegram over and over again, a certain person's name is constantly on it. And all of a sudden, every time you minimize that app to look at something else, why does it say Mandy on top of my phone? What the fuck? Because it's just burned. It burns it in. Anything there's a high contrast between letters and background or background and letters burns it in. And so getting an OLED is kind of like getting a very fragile, imported ancient vase, something that was, made in the time of Cleopatra. It is absolutely gorgeous, but you need to take certain precautions. For example, I didn't do anything for 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Screensaver. Not just any screensaver, a dark screensaver. Because contrast, high brightness and high darkness will burn in. So mostly black with just like flashes of shit. And I have it set. This TV has settings in it so that after it's not used for a certain amount of time, and by not used, they don't mean things moving, but they means like not touching the remote, it'll turn off. I have it set to 4 hours. Because before I did that, I had turned this TV on in the morning, had some breakfast, then had to go somewhere, forgot I left it on, came back 10 hours later, and it was just sitting here running. Bad. Doing bad. OLED requires you to babysit it. If you accidentally leave it on, just doing the swirly patterns, it should protect it. By the way, blacks, the actual contrast ratio is so high that I'll walk in here sometimes, and this screensaver is sort of like random, but if there's nothing on the screen and it's like 3 or 4 seconds, I'm standing at the remote like, is it on? You can't tell. You cannot tell if this TV is on, if the background is projecting black. You can't tell. If I turn it off, nothing changes. It just isn't on. And I respect Sony for this design decision. Yes, the bezel is very thin all around, especially like thickness wise, but the word Sony is just here in the bottom left-hand corner. Not even like bright. It's not trying to tell you, oh, I'm a Sony, buy this. This person bought a Sony. I know like GE monogram refrigerators and stuff just have big fucking logos. Sony is, I respect the fuck out of them for just going perfect black, little logo in the corner, and you only get a power light when you're turning it on. You hit the power button, the little LED comes on in the middle, little gentle white one, then fades away. I kind of wish it stayed on. There's no way I know it's on or not on. But yeah, so there's other things that the TV does to itself to prevent you from having to concern yourself. Like, oh my God. It's like art. Like here's art on canvas. And here's art on a screen. And it kind of looks better. Actually, I have that exact picture somewhere in here, somewhere. But it kind of looks better. There's a landscape. It kind of looks better on this than that. So, I mean, if I was truly 5-head, I would simply get rid of this silly canvas, throw that out, get another TV slightly smaller, mount it here, just have it display art because it looks better than the art that would be printed on canvas. It's fucking wild. Like as far like the richness of the colors and the way I can't even tell they're pixels because it's just doing it such a fine dot pitch. Even though it's 4K and I've had a 4K screen before, you can get real close to this one before you're like, ah. Oh my God. Like we're in the room I call the sunroom because it's labeled that on the circuit breaker panel downstairs. And the sun is here and I have the brightness, which we got to get to a couple other things about the brightness. I have the brightness, I think, maxed out. If I hit the settings gear on this, the first thing it touch nothing else, it's on brightness. Because the more brightness you use, the faster it'll burn out the panel. So I give you the option so that middle of the day, bright sun, hit it, up max the brightness. Going at night, drop it to minimum, you get a little less eye fatigue. I actually have this light sensor off. You're able to edit everything that comes on down here. I have the light sensor turned off. If I didn't have the light sensor turned off, I would go, it's kind of bright in here, raise the brightness. The other thing that TV does to protect itself, there's 2 other things that TV does to protect itself. By the way, I will not be giving out all of these wallpapers. You'll just have to wait. Oh, there's my adjustment thing with the contrast, the brightness and contrast adjustments. Perfect, fucking perfect. The first thing it does is it will slowly move the picture around. If I move my mouse, which is visible here, we'll get to why I'm on a PC. I have a PC in the closet. My old gaming computer / encode video computer / all my emails are on that computer. Sits in there and it's capable of running 4K 120. But I'm using a computer because that's just who I am, all right? I'll tell you how the apps work in like, you ready? Zeos timestamp. 4 apps on the remote: YouTube, Netflix, Disney Plus, and Prime Video. I have YouTube and Prime Video. I don't subscribe to Netflix, although they have a lot of amazing shows. But since they put out Cowboy Bebop in live action, I doubt I'd ever subscribe to them because they don't need that sort of money to ruin things that don't need ruining. Disney Plus has Mandalorian, but I don't, they've done The Mandalorian. That's it. And so I've run the YouTube app and the Prime Video app. In fact, we could click Prime Video and then Prime Video will come up. One of the things you're going to ask me is, how fast is it, Zeos? Because Zeos is my name. So my friend who came over said, this is faster than any smart TV they've ever used. We hit it. We hit sign in. We're here. We can continue watching Heavy Metal 2000. We can do Wheel of Time. We can do some Stars. We can do some Showtime. We can do Project Echo 2 Plot. Watch, spinny wheel. It's connected. There's no direct.
King Joffer, and you are the heir to the throne of the moon.
It's playing video. Okay, we're gonna exit this. The point is, if fast. By the way, that's the computer. That's the TV speakers. Obviously, I don't use TV speakers, but the TV speakers that exist are not absolute garbage, which I kind of hoped for a $2,000 television they wouldn't be. But you're still going to want to probably get something that's not the TV speakers to be TV speakers. I'm going to get off of this. We have the input selection of HDMI 3. I'm lowering that volume. You have an input selection of HTPC, which is one in the closet, which I removed everything that doesn't have an input in it. It doesn't show you. AirPlay, media server, which I could have a media server somewhere else. Prime Video, YouTube, Netflix, etc. Let's get off of this in case there's boobs, because it's anime from the 80s and there's always boobs. YouTube app, boom, we're in it. We're in it fast. I'm not even signed into this, but we can just go down. Let's 4K Ultra Japan, do it. Hold for more options. See an advertisement for 2 minutes. Are you high? I can get Medicare right now. Did you know that? She didn't know that. I can get Medicare. I can skip these ads. Hold on. Look at this. So if you want to know how the apps work, it's fast and smooth and without issue. And it fucking looks good. I could actually see the compression on YouTube. But all right, let's go back to my PC where I'm the happiest that I can be, because JoJo lives there. So the remote is a basic Sony remote. I have a piece of blue tack here for no reason. There's a microphone there in case you want to yell at it. Instead of typing, you can hit the Google button here and literally ask it something. Hey, can you show me this on YouTube, or dictate this and that? Red, blue, green, yellow buttons. Guide, DVR, standard controls, basic things, volume, channel. I like the texture on this one. It's very rough. It's a nice remote to hold. Even if you're doing most of your volume control here and most of your controlling here, it all works pretty seamlessly. Back to actual television-y stuff. So I've already said it looks great. Like, I should really spend about 45 minutes just telling you how great this TV looks. But you'll never understand until you're literally in front of it. Like, you gotta be there. It's like telling you how good a sandwich is. Like, how many ways can I say this sandwich tastes delicious? No, you don't understand. This sandwich tastes like I just ground up literally fucking angels from heaven and then sprinkled like Chick-fil-A sauce on it. And then also it was fed to me by all the Playboy Playmates from the last 50 years, but they're all in their prime. Like, how good can I describe how something tastes? How good does this look? This looks like it's the only display I've ever thought could rival my CRT. My CRT, my Sony CRT. When I had to retire those fucking 8 years ago, because I literally couldn't carry 97-pound CRTs around anymore, and I had to get work done, and it was like warm it up for 40 minutes. That was one of the problems with the CRT. You got to warm it up for 40 fucking minutes. This is just on. There's no warming up. There's no tubes to fail. If the screen dies, the screen dies, because literally the little lightning bugs butts. Which, did you know that that's how OLED works? It's basically the same exact technology that lightning bugs use to light their butts up, is what organic LEDs use. The apps are fast. Oh, the unboxing process. I will link in the description the unboxing, which by the way, Pasta does the unboxing channel, of this TV. It was one of the most harrowing experiences of my life. I don't recommend doing it alone. And if you have an IQ lower than like 75 to 80, don't buy one of these televisions. Because I had to sit there and physically figure out, okay, I'm about to break this styrofoam to pull it out so that the TV could then be rested on one leg and then go around and then break the styrofoam and pull it out and lift it. And it was all a fucking ordeal. At any moment, and me being a very careful human being with lots of free space, I almost destroyed this TV the first day it arrived. Because it was like, holy fuck. Like the legs that it come with actually have to be disassembled and rotated a certain way to then be installed. Because they made it so it fits in the box a little better. I was like, what the fuck are you doing? So again, I'm absolutely recommending this TV. That issue where like the blacks turn gray is something to do with software. It's got to be software because I just unplug it and plug it back in and it reloads. I've got some lights back here that I've decided to give up the ghost. Echo, turn on TV backlight. They might start flashing at any moment. I think there's too many of them, and the power supply is probably failing because I used shit power supply I had lying around. But it's nice to just have a nice. I feel like this TV could have actually had these built into it because the actual display is super, like, hilariously thin to the point of I'm afraid to touch it. Most TVs, like the 65-inch that I've got vertically, you can grab it and you can sort of twist the thing around and move it around. This, for no reason, is 1/4 of an inch thick. And you can see that flashed a little bit. It has no reason to be there. It has no reason to be this thin. They could have just put a regular, like, TV shape just to support it. Because again, when you're unboxing it, you can't like hold anything. This is no. This is a big no. This is just glass. So there's a box back here that's about, I don't know, 1.5 inches, 2 digits of my finger. And that just sits back there looking like a giant PlayStation. And it's the entire size of the back of the television, like down here. So that has all your processing and all your other things. Now apparently Sony doesn't even make these panels. LG makes the panels, and then Sony just does the processing. And Sony's processing is what makes it look so good. So what else can I open up besides my emails and pictures of grilled cheese? Oh, there goes Echo. Turn off TV backlight. It's gonna be bad. It's gonna be bad. I should probably open up a movie or something visually stimulating. No giggities. I haven't got time for giggities. Let's see. Let's go to movies. By the way, the mouse movement, just the mouse movement with 120 hertz, you can kind of feel a slight delay. Like, it's a normal TV delay. I have a CRT hooked up. Let me tell you, if you want to ruin your experience on every other computer and laptop on the face of the earth, run a CRT for a little bit. Because when you move your mouse, the mouse moves on the screen. And you don't realize it, but every mouse you've ever moved in the last decade has delay on it. No matter how fast the refresh rate is, you know what the refresh rate is on, you know, like the milliseconds delay is on a fucking CRT? 0. Fucking 0. Let's put on Bad Boys for Life, just for the visuals, just for the colors. We'll see what that looks like. Oh, I'm gonna sit down. It's going to load now. Oh my God, it's a Sony Pictures thing on a Sony TV. By the way, none of this stuff is 4K.
Air support has a visual.
It's just... I needed this to be this good because if I ever am like, I want to watch... If I am ever going to watch a movie or it's like, I want to go watch this, I want it to be an event, but I don't feel like going down my basement. It's kind of cold down there. I got to turn on my projector. The projector needs to warm up. This is a pretty good secondary entertainment system. Fuck. Like it cost the fortunes. I should have taken this cheap webcam off the top, but I use it when I'm on Discord over there. Doesn't come with a cheap webcam, although I'm sure it's watching what I'm watching and messing with me. One of the things I noticed also, since I've calibrated it like by eye, I didn't go out with a fucking calibration checker, but when you put on a movie, you can tell the color palette, what they've chose to do. Like, they all look orange. Everything here looks orange. We're in Miami. It's just whatever it is. And now we're out inside and the color grading is much better. You could do color grading on this display. Like legit color grading. It looks so fucking good. So I don't use the apps. I don't use really the smart TV function. I'm basically here just to watch shit I've downloaded or, you know, on Netflix, which I don't have, or Amazon Prime, which I would just use through my browser. I wouldn't actually go through the apps. So I guess all I can tell you is that the visual experience of this television, oh my God, 3D girls. Oh my God, 3D girls. The visual experience of this television is absolutely worth the price point. Because that's all you care about. I'm assuming that's all you care about, is that the visuals of it, are they worth... I paid on Prime Day $2,200, and it was like a $2,600 television at the time, because I wanted to go with Sony. I know I wanted to go Sony. There was cheaper ones at the same price, but it was like, and I regret that decision absolutely zero. Zero regret in the decision to go with a giant Sony OLED. And I can't... If you took it away from me right now and said, here's your money back, would you buy it again? Yes. Fuck yes, I would. Another thing it does, I forgot to mention earlier, if it doesn't detect motion on the screen, it will dim. It won't turn off. If for some reason the screensaver doesn't come on, which has happened to me, and it's kind of like if I have Discord going and the webcam is on and it's like, oh, you're using the computer still, but if there's no movement, the screen will dim, and it'll dim to the lowest brightness possible. And if you move something, you move your mouse and open a window, it's like, all right, I'm back. The other thing it does is, and I don't know which one it's doing right now, I think it's got to be this side. Actually, it looks like it's pretty much level now. Because I have a mouse, of course I'm on a computer, sometimes part of the screen will be missing. Like I'll move the mouse to the edge and it'll go past. Or I'll move the mouse over here and it'll just disappear. And it actually, since I have a side-loaded vertical taskbar, which I can't wait for Windows 11 to support, since I have a vertical taskbar there, sometimes it cuts off the right-hand side of it. And the reason it does that is because to prevent problems with burn-in, like people's names that keep moving or the X's on browsers, one of the big things I've had to learn is when I'm like watching videos on YouTube, I can't leave it like I usually do, like F11 full screen. So it's like not full screen, but I got all my lists there. You can't do that. Not on an OLED. Because if this is an hour and 20 minute long video, which is only 23 minutes, I don't want to have tree style tab with that X sitting there, just burning the screen. I have to full screen every video I watch. I have to. You have to do it. Normally on a normal TV, I would just be like, it's big enough. Just watch that. But then the YouTube logo, all these things are just burning. That X will never move. The tree style tabs I have on Firefox to give me this will never move. And I can't have that. But this TV is already looking out for that shit by moving it. And you don't see it move. You literally turn it on and sometimes it's perfect and sometimes it skews things off this way. Sometimes it skews things off that way. So that X, the next time I'm watching this, or if I kept this running for a few hours or days, that X will probably move multiple locations because they know you're going to do shit like this. Or if you're just watching like NBC, Fox, if you're just putting a tuner to this, a cable box to it, those logos sit there, never going away. Or the time, if you hit the information button, it never goes away. So basically, you can buy an OLED. It's going to cost you a fucking fortune. I don't even want to tell you how much I think this costs me in electricity because I can't. I refuse to hook up my power level meter to it. I refuse because I know what would happen. I would hook it up. I would see it's using 300 watts instead of like the 60 the other one uses. And I would go, oh, I can't watch TV anymore. And I want to be able to sit down and enjoy my television on full brightness. I could tell you this much. I've got a, what's it called in here? A cheaper APC uninterruptible power supply. And the TV is not hooked up to it. Or the TV is and the computer is no longer. Because that has a 600 watt limit, that UPC. That APC UPS. Words, numbers. And I was watching shows and it would start beeping. Like over limit beeping. And I'm like, why is my computer drawing so much power? It wasn't the computer. Computer was doing a pretty consistent draw. It's an older gaming PC. It's probably drawing 250 watts. Anytime the screen had white on it, like majority bright colors on the screen, the thing would beep. I went into the fucking remote. I hit the settings. I go brightness down. Beeping would stop. That means the brightness on this affects wattage usage a lot. A scary amount. The type of amount that you're like, oh God, please, I never want to know the actual numbers. I don't want to know the actual numbers. Like I'm giving this review to thousands of people, and I'm telling you, it's like, don't look at the fat content of the halal guy's white sauce. If you know what the halal guys are from New York, they've got chains coming out, and they've got the little packets of sauce now. It used to just be a cup of sauce. You used to get it from the halal guys, pour it on your rice and chicken and pita, and stir that shit around. It was fucking so good. Now that they put it in a packet that has to be sold, they have to put nutrition facts on it. I have never been so sad and horrified and appalled in my entire fucking life. Because the halal guy's white sauce, well, I won't ruin it for you. But if you look it up, if someone wants to comment about it, I'm not going to stop them. But holy shit, how does anybody live? So it's the same thing with this TV. It does such amazing things. It has such amazing quality and crispness and fucking just, it's unreal how good it looks. For like things like just colorful, like JoJo on this is like, fuck. Does it look better than my projector downstairs? Hell yes. Is it 150 inches? Nope. That's why I still have a projector downstairs. But it looks so good. I'm willing to overlook the babysitting of the pixels damage. I'm willing to overlook the power usage, and I'm willing to overlook that weird once every 6 week gray that I just happened to happen to the day I'm doing this review. So do I recommend the Sony? Yes. Do you want to see some of the settings here? Let's go through this before we because I think real tweakers will have checked the time code. And all right, when does he go through settings? Now. Set up Google TV channels and inputs. You can turn things on, off, info banners, display and sound. What does this do? Picture, screen, sound, audio. That's expert panel settings. I hit home. Home button brings you here. Back to settings. Back to settings. My network and account sign in. I haven't signed into Google on this because frankly, I don't need that many fucking devices. I just know who I am and where I am. Just leave me alone for a little bit. Privacy. You can disable apps. It tells you when you last used apps. You could have app permissions, parental controls, system settings, date and time. You could do that thing where it pops up the date, the time in the corner. If this review went for another like 20 minutes, it would tell me it's 1 o'clock or what time is it? Echo. What time is it?
The time is 3:50 p.m.
Holy fuck. In 10 minutes, it'll say 4 p.m. up there. Remotes and accessories, because these remotes, only the power button is infrared. You have to point at it to turn it on. After that, you could hide this in a fucking box, and all these buttons will still work because it's a Wi-Fi remote, or it's a Bluetooth remote that's paired to it. So you need no direct visual. You don't have to point anymore. Which is annoying that the power button is also an infrared, but I guess they do that for legacy support on systems for people who have controls. Let me see if I go back. I guess we're here now. This has got to be just the Google. I would love to get the Google screensaver that just shows everything and then have it show anything else. TV is going to give me this. And now we go back to settings. All right. That was settings. That was a brief tour of settings. Picture settings. This is what the real, if I was buying a TV and I wanted to look at the settings on YouTube, picture settings is what I'm going to concern myself with. Obviously, I'm set to custom because I'm me. Reset picture settings. Hell no. Auto picture mode off. Light sensor off. And then you get Auto luminance, auto tone control, brightness becomes a thing, which you have max contrast is actually at 90, gamma's at 0, preferred gradient for HDR tone mapping, black levels at 38, which is slightly lower to give it like just a little bit more darkness to come onto that. Black level adjustment is off. We've got advanced contrast enhancer. We've got a peak luminance is set to high, so the brightest whites are brighter. The color, every one of these has a pull down that has multiple things in it, which as a person who's a tweaker loves it. Color, 50. You know how fucking hard it is to find a TV where you turn it on, the color doesn't have to be adjusted from 50 out of 100? Most have to go down. Most are just too colorful and they try to fucking screw you over. Hue, 0. Color temperature, I have it set to expert 1. Which, what are my other choices? Oh, I can just skip through them. Never mind. Live color is turned off. Live color does some weird vividness tweaks. Then we get clarity. So now we have sharpness, always set to minimum, especially if I'm on a computer and I could see an actual, piece of font that I know what it should look like. It should be just, the actual font. I can get like this close to it and look. Sharpness is set to minimum. By the way, I want to point out, even though this is not specifically for this television, but for all televisions, if I tell you my settings, that does not necessarily mean if you got this exact same television, you would have to set them in the exact same settings. Because my source happens to be a 7970 hooked up to a computer. If you're using a cable box or a Blu-ray player, the actual voltages on the HDMI will change how this works. Even though it's a digital signal, I've plugged the same thing into something else, and the actual voltages vary enough that it changes the way the TV looks. And then the panels are not exactly the same, and the environment is not exactly the same. So all you can do is understand the settings and adjust them yourself. By the way, we have reality creation. That's a fucking setting. Enhances the detail of video by performing super resolution processing and noise reduction while analyzing the picture in real time. I have that turned off. And I'm probably going to leave it off because reality creation doesn't sound like something humans should be doing on a television. Random noise reduction is off. Digital noise reduction is off. Smooth gradation is actually set to high. That's when you have that effect. And I have a lot of low-res movies and TV shows that have that burned into the video. Like the video is just not 10-bit color. It's all 8-bit color. And so turning that on actually does help smooth everything out. And it doesn't affect it negatively as far as I can tell as far as picture quality. Then we have motion. Now here's where things get interesting. Because there's motion flow, and then there's cinemotion. And everyone talks about the soap opera effect, where a TV looks like things are too smooth. And I hate that. But yet I still have motion flow set to custom, smoothness set to max, clearness set to 1, and then there's cinemotion set to high. And I've had some like this screensaver doing its thing is perfectly smooth. I'm running 120 hertz, and I think that helps a great deal because I think what these things do, if you have like a 60 hertz signal or a 30 hertz signal, like a regular TV show, you can tell it's working its quote unquote magic that makes it look like shit. Having a 120 hertz signal coming in, I don't think it knows when I'm playing TV shows and things that are 30 hertz or 24 hertz movies, but it will still gently smooth out things that I know would look jank moving across without making it look like a soap opera. Because I should not have motion flow set to anything, never mind smoothness max, and I shouldn't have cinemotion set to high. Yet I do, and it's still amazing to look at. So Sony magic, or just to happen to be the fact that I'm using a computer into this at 120 hertz, so on and so forth. Video signal, HDR mode auto. I have set my windows to HDR, and then I turned it off because it literally makes no difference. For most things, I don't have really much HDR content. HDMI video range set to full, which means blacker blacks and brighter whites. Otherwise, it'll crush the space. Color space is set to auto because, I don't want to mess with that. And then advanced color adjustment, which is where you really get into it. Like, look, it can just, we have RGB gain, RGB bias. We've got, which can I get out of this? Then we've got advanced color temperature with a multi-point 10-point gamma adjustment. I've not touched. Like every point, you just move down the line to adjust. I haven't had to adjust it. And then you've got, what's the last one? Per color adjustments, hue, saturation, and lightness for red, magenta, blue, cyan, green, and yellow. That's, as a tweaker, that seems like it's fun. Don't touch it. Like literally, it should be good enough. I'm just gonna go over those settings. That's it. I've read them. Don't touch them. Like, say, unless you have a professional coming in to color grade your shit, or you're an OCD mofo, don't. So I'm gonna go into the edit thing here, and these are the other settings you can place at the bottom when you hit the settings button. So picture settings, obviously picture mode, I don't need to change. Auto picture mode, don't need to change. Brightness, yes. Light sensor, yes. Wide mode, never. Sound, no. Sound mode, no. Speakers, no. Home theater control, no. Network, no. Bluetooth, no. Accessibility, talkback, text magnification, screen reader, parental controls, picture off. You have a button that you can literally just set it. So you go settings, picture off. So if you're walking away from the TV, but you don't want to turn off the TV and you don't want it to burn in, you can literally have a button, you go, shut it, just sleep. Like when you shut to power off on your phone. The reason OLEDs on phones work is that you, most of the time, are shutting off the screen and putting it in your pocket. That turns your TV into a phone. Sleep timer, alarm, and power on behavior, which that just basically is like, hey, what input you want when I go on, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, we're going to get out of this. We're going to go back. I've rambled about the television. The fact that I'm doing like any sort of review, even though most of what I'm doing is just opening up pictures of anime waifus eating pizza and going, fuck, yes, I love this television. Where'd the last one not go? Television. All you got to do to sell someone on this TV is have them look at it and go, okay, now walk here. And it looks exactly the same from the side. That's it. I don't care how thin it is. I love how thin the bezel is, but it's not like a selling point. It's the best TV I've ever owned. It's the best TV I've ever seen. And I own it. It's the combination of those two things. It's not just the best TV I've ever owned. It's the best TV I've ever owned and the best TV I've ever seen. And I went to Japan. And when you're in Japan and you go to those rooms where they have, well, that was 2015. And I'm pretty sure this is better than what they had in Japan 5 or 6 years ago. So that's probably a thing. Anyway, I'll link this to where I got it on Amazon. I'll link to this wallpaper and only this wallpaper. Although I can tell you, Windows does a fucked up thing. I like Windows. I'm not like gonna fucking fight for them. But when you set a wallpaper in Windows, for some reason, if it's a PNG, you have a perfect PNG, it will make a JPEG copy of it with JPEG compression of whatever it feels like and set that as your wallpaper. And on this level screen, when you could see around Belfast's mouth and everything, all the fucking jaggies, So what you got to do is you got to set a JPEG at the minimal compression as your wallpaper, and then that won't happen. At least that's what I know it used to do on 7 or 8, and this is 10, so it's probably still engaged. But yeah, though, I haven't even looked at the price of this TV. It's probably dropped from the 20. If it was 2,600 when I bought it, then I got it for 22. I think if you can get this TV for 2,000 or under, 4 o'clock now. Military time, by the way. You have a choice for 24-hour clock. There you go. I know how long I've been doing that review now, so I'm going to end it. Speakers are okay. Apps are fast as shit. That's all you got to know about the apps. The inputs in the back, literally go to the website, click the link in the description and look at them. I'm using one HDMI input. The end. This is basically a computer monitor for me. All TVs are basically just a computer monitor for me. But my God, what a beastly computer monitor that is. Patreon and Subscribestar did not help me buy this television, although people could argue that all the money is the money. And thank you for supporting this channel, since anytime I show Bad Boys for Life, it probably isn't going to be monetized. And I have the brightness up way high now, and you can kind of feel it. In fact, the camera is picking up on that. So let me go back to brightness and just... Oh, you shut off my Belfast. It has to do that. It has to do that. If it doesn't do that, it doesn't do that. You're going to burn in. I mean, I wouldn't mind if Belfast, it was just boom every time I looked at my TV. It's like Belfast. But if you're going to use this like I'm using it, if you're going to use it as a computer monitor, if you use a home theater PC, or you've got an Apple TV or a Roku or any of those things, Put the screensaver on, set it for a short period of time, and try to get one that's just dark. That's it. Baby this motherfucker. Patreon subscribe star. See reviews early, participate in yard sales, get into the Sound Demo Oasis channel. $10 a month if you want to ask me any questions directly. I don't really answer questions on any of the platforms other than in the $10 patronage chat, where you can just at Zeospantera and I'll answer you. And if you're in that chat, you're also in the Lifetime Swap Meet channel, which is where you go to swap gear. I don't think there's any TVs in there, but I might be wrong. I don't know how you would ship a TV. I certainly don't have the, well, I do have the box for this, but don't ever ask me to put that back in there, because that was like the Pandora's box of getting it out. Check out Hi-Fi Guides and the Hi-Fi Guides forums. I want to thank Deconi for being interested in sponsoring them, and along with Periapt and some other companies who are interested in getting their ads put on that site, so we can have that site actually start performing and making money, because right now it's break-even territory and I want to do a new RMF with it. So if you're interested in that, contact us. We'll figure out how to contact you. Wallpaper, box, TV, Echo! And I'll see you in the next one.